Greetings everyone, and welcome to another video lecture, which is 24th video lecture, I think, of our Dart inflator programming. And in this lecture we will talk about navigation, which continues from the last lecture. And in the last lecture we said that users navigate from one page to the other page, and we used the navigation pop and the navigator pop and the navigator push in order to change from one page to another, and also in order to pass and receive data. So all of the code, I think, is available in the PPT, so it's easier for you to implement that and see that. Now today we'll talk about bottom navigation bar. Bottom navigation bar is something similar to using tabs, and the bottom navigation bar, unlike the navigator, it is part of the scaffold, okay? And it displays bottom navigation bar items that are items that will fill the tab. So in order to practice what bottom navigation bar is and how it works, we go ahead and create, because it's easier to discuss it while developing the app instead of just discussing it theoretically. So since I showed you last week how to create a class in stateless stateful manner, you go ahead and create stateless stateful manner with all the code. This dot 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 means there are some codes in there, so you don't have to write this, okay? There are some codes in here which we'll see a little bit later on. So these names, okay, these names can be just given by you. For instance, this is like, okay, I say my app, you can call it maybe BNP app or bottom navigation bar app, and then this is the bottom navigation bar home, and this is the bottom navigation home state. And you can see that this state is part or this state is a state for this home, so it will contain most of the things that the home will hold, or this is like an instance of this home class. Anyways, let's go ahead and create our stateless stateful app under the bottom navigation bar. So you just create a bottom navigation bar up here, dot dart. That means under chapter thing, go to new files and Dart files, and you say bottom navigation bar up, so it will create this file. So in this file you create just this first my app class, which extends the stateless widget, and the home of my app is home, or this. If you change this name, you have to change this name. So we are saying that, okay, this class will be the home, and then the state of this class is as follows, and it returns null. So it's just a simple code we've been creating. So we'll add on top of this. Okay, the rest of the discussion we'll add on top of this template. So if you run this template, after you change, okay, first change this return null into return container in the state, and then if you run it, you'll find something similar to this. So nothing is there because no scaffold has been returned yet. So let's go ahead and discuss what is going to happen. So the next thing is we have to modify the build method of the state in order to return three things. The first thing is the app bar, and then we have the body with safe area and padding, and the child is the current page. But this is a widget actually. Current page is a widget, but we don't know yet. So we might get some error because some variables has not been implemented. And then we have to add bottom navigation bar. So we could come here and we can just implement scaffold, and in this scaffold I'll have up bar, I'll have body, and then I'll have bottom navigation bar. So I have developed, or I have just added this code in order to save some time, because we have already seen how to do this. In the up bar I have the text, which is going to be the title of that page, and then I have the body, which displays the current page widget, and then I have the bottom navigation bar, which will be built using the bottom navigation bar class. Now once we add this, the next question is what to put in this place, or what type of code we should have in this place, and what other codes should we add. So in this case it says that, okay, in the bottom navigation bar add the properties. The properties are current index. The current index shows us the current page. Later we will see how it is used. This has something similar to the radio widget that we have seen earlier. So it has three properties: the current index, the on tab, and the items. The items are just a list of widgets. Okay, so for the items we have three bottom navigation bar items, which shows some kind of icon and title. Okay, so we fill in this with this one, and we might feel some error because there are some undeclared elements here. So let's just go ahead and fill in these properties. So I can say current index, and then I'll have on top, and then I'll have items, right? Items are just list of widgets which will be filled later on, or we can just fill it now before we fill in. So the items are going to be bottom navigation bar item, and in this item we have the icon, definitely, and then we have the title. So after this we have to set the value of each bottom navigation bar. I will copy paste this, but for the time being I will just icons dot birthday, or icons dot cake. Okay, and in the title I want some kind of text. So since I'm gonna need multiple bottom navigation bar, I'm just gonna copy this and paste it maybe 3 times, and then I have to change. Okay, so I have to change these icons to sentiment satisfied, and also I will change this one to access alarm. So these are the 3 icons, and the texts can be updated as birthdays, then gratitude, and reminders. Okay, we're getting somewhere, but the current index and the on top has not been filled yet. So the current index, I'm gonna set it to current index, and on top I'm gonna call some method. So I'll call some method called change page, and maybe I'll make it selected index, or I can just put value here. Actually it doesn't matter. Let me just selected index here. This is a variable that you create, and you pass this variable to the page. So now you have three variables that are undeclared. Okay, you have the current page, you have the current index, and you have the change page that are not declared. So let's see how we can declare that. So here we have our explanation. We have to declare the variables and the methods. So on the change page, what we do is we get the selected index into the current index. The selected index is received from the tab, and then based on the selected index we save or we get the current page. And where does this current page comes? The current page comes from list of pages, and list of pages is a list that holds pages or pages class name. So here is list of pages, and this list of pages is actually created in the init state. So we have to do two things. First, we create the variables and the methods, and second, we create our init method. And in this method, we have to set state every time the index is changed or every time the tab is changed. We have to change accordingly. Okay, so let's come here and let's define. Okay, since we are almost done with the build method, we'll minimize it and we create our variables. So to create our variables, what we can do is widget and we create current page. We'll say maybe int current index assigns to 0, and then we'll have list of widgets, and this list of widgets we can call it list page assigns to new, or we can just skip the new part and new list. So some errors will disappear now, as you can see here, because we have our variables, but change page is not declared yet. So let's go ahead and create our change page. So we can just control V this, and we can just call it void change page, and this will be method that will take or int select, and you can see all of my errors disappear now. And here actually we have the set state, which we'll use later on. What do we set the state actually? In the set state, the current page assigns to the selected or the current index. First, the current index assigns to the selected index, and then the current page, which is a widget, is going to be list pages of the current index or selected index. Okay, or we can just use this selected index. We can use one of any of them, by the way, because all of them are something that are related to one another. Then the other thing that we have to create is the init method. So to create the init method, we can say add override, and in this we say void init state, and in the init state here. So we have our init state, but what do we want in init state? In init state, we want the super that init state. In addition to that, we want to initialize the list pages. Okay, list pages that add some kind of widget. We'll continue to add some widgets here. So let's create a birthdays widget, and let's create a gratitude page or gratitudes page, and then let's create reminders page. The problem is there is some error because we haven't created these pages yet. And then finally what we want is the current page. We want the current page to be the birthdays. Okay, birthdays, birthdays, and still there's going to be some error. So we created our on change page, and we created our init state, and we created our variables, right? So there will be some error for sure because those three pages, the birthdays, the gratitude, and the reminders, have not been created yet. So we cannot run. If we run it, we'll face some error. So let's go ahead and look at how we can create this birthdays, gratitude page, and the reminders page. And our final goal is actually to create something similar to this. Okay, so for the birthdays page, we just create a stateless widget that shows an icon and the icon size and everything. The same thing for the gratitude, and the same thing for the reminders. So we can easily create one and copy paste it. So let's just go ahead and let's minimize this. Let's just go ahead and create a class birthdays extend the stateless widget. Obviously it requires an override of this build method. So once we create this, what follows is that we want to return scaffold, and in this scaffold what do we want? We just need a body, and that body is going to be center. The child of that center is going to be an icon, and this icon is going to have some properties. So it's going to have icons dot cake here, comma, it's going to have size, and it's going to have some colors. Okay, but at this point I want this birthdays class for other things as well. So I can just minimize it, then Control C, Control V, hold on, Control C, Control V, Control V. There's going to be some error, but I can call this birthdays, maybe some gratitude, and this one I can call it reminders. So I'll set up the properties one by one. So the first one is the size is going to be 120.0. I should say it, and the color is going to be color that orange. Okay, so now no error in this class, but there are some errors in the gratitude and reminders. So after setting the colors and the icons of the gratitude page, and and also after setting the colors and the icon of this reminders page, which will be like this, now we are definitely error free. So what happens is that I will always come to the build method of the home state. Okay, I will come to the build method of the home state, and inside this build method of this home state, I have the bottom navigation bar, and this bottom navigation bar has 3 items. Okay, when I click the first item, since this is a list, okay, since this is a list, when I click one of these items, or when I click the item, the index, okay, the index of the item is stored in selected index. Okay, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2. So this will be stored in selected index, and when I call the change page, I will pass this selected index to the change page, and the change page will use this selected index to set the current index and also to set the current page. Okay, so if I run my code now, it will change to something different. So let's go ahead and look at our app. So you can see that I have my icons and I can navigate, okay, from one tab to another tab, and you can see the colors changing on the current tab. And here is my navigation. Sometimes when you run it, it might not work. That means when you hot reload it, okay, so there might be some issues. So in that case, you have to restart, or you have to stop the app and run it again. Okay, so this is all about using some bottom navigation bar. The one thing that we have learned here is how to use this bottom navigation bar, create items, and then associate these items with indexes and navigate through an app via the tabs. Okay, so the last part, or the last navigation, we've already seen this. So the last navigation tool or navigation class that we are going to learn is how to use drawers. And usually drawers use a list view. So we'll discuss these drawers and list view now. Okay, we are now discussing the drawer, and the drawer uses lists. So we have to use list view, and with list view we also use list tiles. And if you remember, when we discussed list view builder, we discussed about list view tile. It has leading and other properties in order to build beautiful list tiles. So drawer is also part of the scaffold. That means we don't have to create any navigator, blah blah, something like that, like we have created in the last class. And the drawer can slide horizontally from left or right. So it can come out from this side, or it can come out from this side. And to do that, for the left side, we just use the drawer property, and for the right side, we use the end drawer property. And this drawer, that means the drawer can be customized using some image or just some fixed information. And like I said, for lists we use list view for each items, and this drawer has two built-in options. One is user account drawer header, like this one, and the other is drawer header, like this one. We'll see these properties in action, so don't worry. Okay, so the next thing to do is to practice this. Create drawer app.dart under chapter 10, and then you have to create widget in stateful stateless manner. There might be some errors, and since we are going to use the pages we have already created for navigation bottom bar, you can easily copy them. So copy the birthday, gratitude, and reminder widgets, and also download this file and save it. So this is the file we're going to use later on. So it is located in that link. So you just download. Hold on, it is still loading. Come on. So download this file, which is located at the link, and what you can do is you have to store this in the image folder we have created. If you are using dartpad.dev, not DAV, it's dartpad.dev, DEV. So if you are using that, instead of just the image, you can just use the network constructor in order to load this image, as we have discussed in the past when we discussed the basic widgets of Flutter. So once you have created and copied all the pages following this instruction, you have to modify. Okay, you have to modify the scaffold as follows. Okay, you have to modify the scaffold. The upper bar should say drawer, and the drawer property and the in the drawer property should be using the left drawer widget and the right drawer widget. We'll create these two by ourselves, and the body will be just a safe area widget, a container widget inside a safe area widget. And another thing is, everything in here is going to be more or less stateless widget. Everything in here will be more or less a stateless widget. So you have to create a stateless widget in the IntelliJ IDE. Sorry. So let's come here and in chapter 10 you have to create a drawer app, and we'll develop that. So here is what our template will look like for the time being. I have copied all the 3 widgets that I will use later on, the birthday, gratitude, and reminders, and I have the 2 stateless widgets, and in the home widget I modified the scaffold, and the upper bar just displays title, and the body just is a container, and the right and the left drawer widgets are created, but these 2 widgets have not been created yet. So let's go ahead and see how to create those widgets, and also let's see what type of code we need to fill in. So the next thing is we want to create the menus, that is the menus seen here. Okay, since they are using the same menus, we are going to develop one menu and use it in both places. Okay, so we can say create menu list tile widget, and this menu list tile widget extends also a stateless widget, and it will return a column of list tiles, and then we'll fill in each of these listed tiles with this method. However, first let's go ahead and create our menu list tile widget, which returns 3 listed tiles and a divider and a list tile. Okay, so there will be still some errors, so let's just come here and let's just add class menu list tiles extend this stateless widget. If it is a stateless widget, then it has to have a build method. I'm repeating myself here. So it will probably return column, and inside that column we'll have children of widgets, which is going to be tile in this case, and this list tile is going to have some property. So I'll fill in the one list tile property, and then we'll see the rest of it just by copy pasting. So I have the list tile. Let me just put leading title and maybe on tap method. So the leading is going to be icon, icons dot something, and the title is going to be just text, some title, and on top I'm just gonna use the navigator pop and the navigator push. So on top I'm gonna have this, and I'll have navigator dot pop with context, and there will be some semicolon here, and navigator dot push. Okay, a context, and there should be a material page, right? Or a material page route. So this material page route will have a builder. Okay, let me just semicolon here. So it will have a builder, and this builder is going to return some class, say birthdays. Okay, and it should have some context here. So everything is correct. So instead of just writing everything here, I will just copy paste this list tile so that I could save some time. Okay, and then I'll have a divider, and then I'll have another list tile. So maybe there is some comma here to make it to separate it. Okay, so the list tiles has to be filled with some material, with some code. So this is created, and for instance the first list tile calls birthdays, so the icon is cake and the text is birthdays. For the second one, the icon is sentiment satisfied and the text is gratitude, and it calls the gratitude page. And the third one, which will call alarm and or access alarm, and its text is reminder, and it will call the reminders class. And then finally we have a divider which is gray, and there is another list tile which settings icon, and it creates nothing actually. It just goes back to the main page. Okay, so I'll just fill in these properties inside these list tiles in order to remove the errors, and you can do so according to the PPT file. So here is what it looks like after I fill in the build method with column and list tiles. So I have my four lists for my list, my four list tiles, and the fourth list tile is a bit different. Here it doesn't do any navigation. Okay, it doesn't push to other page. Rather, it's just give us or send us back to the main page. Anyways, now we have created the menu list tiles. We have to use these menu list tiles somewhere in order to display them. Where can we use them? That is what we are going to discuss in this slide and in the next few slides. So we have to create left drawer widget, and also we have to create right drawer widget. And in this left drawer widget, we create left drawer widget, and the left drawer widget just returns a drawer, but inside it has a list view of just some padding information, and a list view of the user account header and the menu list tiles we just created. Okay, and then we have to update the user account drawer header. This is not created by us. This is properties of drawer. Okay, this is just properties of drawer that we can use. So we go ahead, first fill in the left drawer, and then put this inside the user account drawer header option. So it should have current account picture, it should have account name, it should have account email. Since these are all the widgets that we have created, I might not code everything here. So where are we? Here we are. So the left drawer widget is not created. I will just create left drawer widget, and to avoid error I will also create more options. More actions. I'll just create a right drawer widget. Let's say this extends stateless widget, and if it is stateless widget it has to have this, and just to avoid error, okay, Control C, Control V, I'll call this one right. Okay, so now we have created our widgets, and we should have some kind of constructor. To have constructor, we already know what to do. So you can see that I created my two classes, which is the left drawer widget and the right drawer widget, and there might be some mistakes I have done. So this is camel case, not mistake actually, just some small mistake. Left drawer widget, everything capital, so left drawer widget. And since we are using const, the constructor of left drawer widget looks like this, and the constructor of the right widget or the right drawer widget look like this. And each widget returns a drawer instead of a null method. So for the left drawer widget, I'll say just drawer, return drawer instead of null. And this drawer should have a child, which is list view, right? So this list view had padding and children. Okay, it should have padding, and it should have children or list of widgets. So the padding will be just h sets 0. Let me put it save, and the children will be the user account drawer header, or the user account drawer header. And what else? We need one more thing, that is the menu. So const menu list widget, and we'll have to fill in the properties of the user account header, which are current picture index, account name, and maybe account email, account email, and other account pictures. And the other account pictures is gonna have just icon and decoration. So it will have icon decorations. So it will have an icon, and inside that icon we'll just put bookmark border, and in the decoration we'll have a decoration box. So I'm not gonna write everything, it is just displayed here. You can easily type in this. Okay, so after you type in all the code, it will look like this. Now the next thing to do is to fill in the right drawer widget. The right drawer widget is gonna return the same thing. Okay, it's gonna return drawer, and inside that drawer I have a child, which is list view, and list view is gonna have padding and children. And inside this children widget I'll have drawer header, so the drawer header widget, inside this drawer widget, header widget, I'll have just a padding and a child. So the same thing like the previous one, the code for drawer header is displayed in the 30th slide. So you can come here and take a look at. So the drawer header has all this information, including decoration. We can put here the decoration item 2. So we have to fill in these properties, which is just tandem task or a very easy task that you can do. After we fill in the right drawer widget, it's gonna look like this. So you have the drawer list view, the children's are drawer header, and the menu. So we used this menu list tile widget inside the right and inside the left drawer widget. So at the end of the day, you'll have all these classes. I know it is too long, like we are writing about 200 lines of code, and we should have put these things inside another class. But the reason why I'm not doing that is because some of the students are going to use dartpad.dev, which doesn't allow modularization or putting into different classes. So I'm just gonna keep it here. So once we do this, if I run my app, I'll have a different looking app. So let's go and see our app. So you can see that I have two drawers. The first drawer uses image, email, blah blah. But these informations later on you're going to retrieve this from the internet. Okay. Now you just give the dummy values, like maybe Sandy Smith, blah blah. But in the future, you're gonna retrieve these things from the internet and or from the database and fill in this information. So if I say maybe go to birthdays, you can see that the birthday have this type of thing, and if you press back, you'll go to the drawer. If you press settings, nothing happen, and you can see that the menus are the same, even the divider is the same. You can easily use the menus by using back and blah blah. As you can see, they don't have any up bar in order to allow them to go back. So this is a different kind of navigation. So in this class, I think we have seen different type of navigators. We have seen the build, we have seen the navigator itself. We have seen the bottom up or bottom navigation bar, and we have seen the drawer. So maybe when you develop your project, you can use any of these drawers in order to or in not any of these drawers, actually any of these navigators, in order to move from one page into the other. And as you can see that some has some advantage, like for instance going back without needing the bottom back button, and others require the bottom back button. So here this one requires the back button of the device, like this one. The others won't require such kind of drawers, as in we have seen in the navigator app. So when we first start our class, we say we're going to discuss about the navigator, bottom navigation bar, tab bar view, and tab bar, and we see actually the navigation bar is similar to tab bar, so we might not actually we didn't discuss this, I think, because it is related to one another. And then we saw the drawer and list view. So in this case we see 1, 2 and 3, and I think that's enough for this course. If you are really interested, you can study about tab bar, and you can study about bottom up bar navigation, and you can enhance your skills of developing Flutter and Dart, or you can like mobile application using Flutter and Dart. So I think my PC is about to burn because of all the development in this emulator. So I'm gonna stop here, and I'll see you in the next lecture in next week with different development techniques and different programming skills to make your app development skills even better. And I'll see you next class.